Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something I think a lot of us feel, maybe without even naming it. This constant sense of living for the future. For someday that.
Yeah.
Well, it never quite seems to arrive. We've got a couple of really interesting sources for this deep dive, excerpts from Buddhism, Antidote to Modernity's Iron Cage, and also The Disease of Living for the Future. So our mission today is basically to explore how some pretty ancient wisdom tackles this very modern issue of feeling like you're always waiting for your real life to start. It's kind of a journey, I think, from seeing the trap to maybe finding a way out. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how these texts frame the problem. They bring up two really key concepts, Max Weber's Iron Cage and then Alan Watts talking about the deferred life plan. These ideas really help pin down why so many of us feel, well, stuck.
The iron cage. That sounds intense. So Weber saw this as a core issue in modern society. The source calls it a rational moral assumption, like this deep belief that working has meaning in itself and that any hardship now is sort of justified because it leads to a future reward. Is that the gist?
That's pretty much it. And it breaks down into a few things, right? Like labor is a duty, almost a calling. Then there's asceticism as virtue, denying yourself now for later gain. And underpinning it all is this illusion of accumulation for future salvation, saving up treasures, maybe not just money, but experiences, freedom for later.
Wow. Yeah, that feels incredibly familiar. We're always pushing, always saving, planning for later. And connecting that iron cage to Watt's deferred life plan, that seems like the perfect bridge. How does the disease of living for the future show this playing out day to day?
Well, it's like Watts saw Weber's societal cage manifesting in our individual lives.
Right.
Like we internalize it. The disease of living for the future paints this really clear picture of the path society lays out for us. Go to school, get educated, then work really hard, climb the ladder, whatever. Then finally you hit retirement. Then you get your freedom. Yeah. That's the promise, right? Freedom later.
Gross later.
Exactly. But here's the kicker, and the research mentioned in the sources points this out pretty starkly. A lot of people, when they actually get to retirement, they don't find that promised peace or happiness. Instead, it's often depression, loneliness, a real lack of purpose.
Yeah.
Because they spent their whole lives, postponing living.
That's a gut punch. It's like running a marathon promising yourself a feast at the end. And then you get there, and maybe the feast isn't what you expected, or you're too tired to enjoy it, as the sources suggest. So, okay, if that's the trap, the modern dilemma, where do we look for an alternative? This is where our deep dive shifts, bringing in this ancient wisdom. It hits you with this question, originally in Japanese. Kyodo, budo-yu, which translates to something like, where else is life but in this very moment? Pow!
It really is a radical shift in perspective, isn't it? Buddhism just offers a completely different take on time itself. The past. That's just memory. It's gone. The future. Pure imagination hasn't happened yet. The only thing that's actually real, tangible, is this moment. Right now, there's a quote from the Dhammapada, an ancient text, that says it so well. Do not chase the past. Do not seek the future. See clearly what is now.
See clearly what is now.
Yeah. So this whole idea that our freedom, our happiness, or even just feeling okay is waiting for us down the road, from this viewpoint, that's a delusion. It's actually a form of suffering because it keeps us constantly running, constantly grasping for something we don't have, always looking outside ourselves, and this constant chase, this wanting what's next. Buddhism calls it panta, craving. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If we're always yearning for the next thing, are we ever actually here for this thing?
That's a huge question. And it's important, like the texts point out, that living now isn't about being irresponsible or just hedonistic, right? It's not ditching your job and obligations.
Not at all.
It's more about waking up, like stock sleepwalking through the life you have while waiting for some imaginary better version to magically appear later. It's about engaging with this life, the one happening right now.
Exactly. It's about engagement, participation. And there are practices for this. Zen Buddhism, for instance, has something called shikanda. It literally just means just sitting.
Just sitting.
Just sitting.
Yeah.
There's no goal. You're not trying to achieve enlightenment or even necessarily calm your mind, though that might happen. It's a practice that acts as a reminder. This breath you're taking right now, this sound you hear, maybe the feeling of your feet on the floor, this is life. It's happening. And the key insight is nothing is missing from this moment. It's complete just as it is.
Wow. That connects directly back to the Buddhist teaching about suffering then. That suffering comes from craving, from tasha, from always wanting something else. More money, maybe more peace, more security, just more. It feels like we're wired for that sometimes.
You really do seem to be. And these authors, drawing on Buddhist thought, really emphasize that this craving, it's fundamentally about time. We crave the future. We hold on to this story, this belief deep down that someday things will be different, someday we'll finally arrive, someday we'll be okay. Right. But someday isn't a real destination on a map. It's just a story we tell ourselves. And every moment we live for that future story, we're essentially abandoning the only life we actually have, which is the one happening right now. We defer our own existence.
So how do we stop deferring? How do we break that cycle?
Well, the antidote offered is mindfulness. Sati in Pali. It's the practice of returning, not to some idealized future life, but returning your attention again and again to the life that's already here, this moment.
It sounds so simple.
It is simple, but, not necessarily easy in practice. The Source gives this beautiful, simple exercise. Take one breath, just one. Feel it come in through your nose. Feel your lungs fill up, and then feel it leave again. That's it. This is enough. This is where peace lives. And that simple awareness of the present.
Just the breath.
That breath can be an anchor. It brings you back, and it prompts a different way of thinking. Like, what if you actually stopped measuring your life only by what's coming next? What if joy or contentment didn't have to be earned or scheduled way out in the future? What if it could be found right now?
That's a big what if.
It is. And it shifts the whole purpose. Maybe the purpose isn't to arrive somewhere, retirement, enlightenment, whatever destination we've set. Maybe the purpose is simply to participate fully in each moment of the journey. In Buddhism, the highest wisdom isn't really about knowing a lot of facts. It's about seeing clearly, seeing the reality of things. And part of that clear seeing is understanding that the future, it just can't give you something that the present moment doesn't already hold, in potential at least.
Okay, so putting it all together, it sounds like the core message is pretty stark. If you're always waiting for life to begin, you'll just always be waiting. That's the trap.
Pretty much.
The time to live, the only time you actually can live is right now. And freedom isn't some prize at the finish line. It's in how you take the very next step if you take it with awareness.
Exactly. It changes everything.
So what does this all mean for us listening right now? I guess it comes back to that Alan Watts quote you mentioned earlier. He said, "This is the real secret of life, to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play."
That's such a powerful reframe. It leads to a final thought, maybe something for you to consider. If freedom, if living, really begins now, not someday, but right now, what might you do differently today?